Most companies focus on scaling their GTM stack as fast as possible. Companies often buy CRM, enrichment tools, automation tools, but one thing that they forget is security. A single mismanagement or misconfigured API can tank your domain reputation or even leak your entire pipeline to a competitor. So today we are building a secure GTM architecture checklist from the ground up. The first thing that we are going to see is GTM stack ownership. The first rule of GTM is that an individual should never own a tool. Say, for example, if your head of sales who has access to the CRM suddenly leaves, and if their account is tied to that particular ID, then you're going to face a lot of trouble in terms of transitioning that entire thing. So it is always recommended that you use a company controlled alias like ops or admin at company.com for all your master accounts. What you also need to ensure is that you keep all of your tools, all of your budgets, all the admin settings in a single place, which is not shared across the teams. It is just kept with the decision maker. You need to also ensure when it comes to tool access and security that just because, say, for example, someone is in sales does not mean that they need admin rights to your CRM or any of your automation workflows or tools. So what you need to do is you need to have role-based access given, wherein you can apply the principle of least privilege when users get exactly what they need to do their job, nothing more. What you can do over here is you can build a checklist like we did over here, wherein we have an inventory where we are storing all the tools that that company has, the category that they belong to, who is the owner internally for that tool, on which email ID is that tool hosted, what all integrations are available for that tool, and what is the security level. This sort of gives us an idea whether a particular tool needs critical security monitoring or not. And at the end, you need to also ensure that you have two-factor authentication enabled to keep it more secure. Now, what you also need to have over here is a offboarding kill switch. That is a protocol you need to have to revoke all access the minute an employee departs. So this is what you need to ensure, keeping in mind the tool access, the ownership access. Next up is integrations and API security. This is where things get risky. Now, your GTM stack today is deeply connected. CRMs talking to enrichment tools, email tools syncing with Gmail, automation tools running everything in the backend. But every integration that is there is a potential vulnerability. So what you need to do is one, you need to maintain a central list of integrations. Next, over here, as you can see, we have a platform through which we have generated APIs. You need to ensure that that platform does not allow editing the API or access to the API once the key is created. So you need to ensure that those API keys are stored securely. And the most important thing is that you need to ensure that you're not giving the wrong access to a particular integration. For example, what we have done over here is we have built a workflow for automating email outreach. Now, as you can see, I have Gmail integration over here and I have my Slack integrations over here. I need to ensure that the Gmail integration does not have the permission to delete or modify the content and just have the permissions to send the message, which is the purpose. Similarly, my Slack should not be able to read all of my conversations and only the conversations pertaining to that particular node. So we need to ensure all of this is kept in check, because the question over here is that whenever a tool asks for certain permissions, you need to question that why does this tool need that permission and whether it is necessary or not. Next up, let's talk about the most valuable asset, that is data. What we recommend is that your CRM should be your single source of truth. But what actually happens in companies is that data often gets duplicated across tools, across Google Sheet, and oftentimes enrichment tools also store copies of them in CSV formats. We even see that outreach tools have their own database, like say for example, if you are accessing Apollo instantly or so, then they have their own database on which we do our outreach. So with so much data here and there, what it does is it creates a chaos and moreover, it creates risk for the company. Instead of that, what you can do is that you can clearly define which tools can read, write or modify the data. You can avoid unnecessary duplication of data wherever necessary and ensure that if you're using any contact detail extraction tools, they are complying to GDPR guidelines as well. Because losing data is bad, but mismanaging it, that's the worst. Moving on, when we talk about the outreach channels, now we primarily work on three outreach channels, that's email, LinkedIn, WhatsApp. And this is where your brand reputation is directly at stake. Because for emails, you need to ensure that you're always using secondary domains for outreach and never risking your primary domain. For LinkedIn, you need to maintain clear ownership of all the accounts rather than giving it to your entire sales team. And for WhatsApp, you need to ensure that you are using the official business APIs or approved platforms. What you also need to define over here is who can send the message, what are the messaging guidelines, and how should those messages be in place. Moreover, one thing that you need to keep a check is of the governance of those channels as to what are the limits of that particular channel per account. So what we have done over here is we have quickly highlighted that for every channel, if say for example you want to send cold email, and if you have a new domain, then what is the limit that you need to keep in the start? And if it's an established domain, then how much you can scale per account. So you need to always ensure that you stay within these limits to avoid getting marked as spam or avoid impacting the domain health. So this is about the channel governance. And finally, let's speak about automation governance. Now, automation is powerful, but without control, it can break things at scale. So what you need to do is you need to ensure that one, you are documenting all of your workflows, ensuring every single node that is there in the workflow has a specific use and a specific purpose, and the specific accesses are shared with it. What you also need to ensure is to keep a check on any bulk actions that are there and ensure that bulk actions are limited to authorized users or admins only. Finally, you need to have a review process in place wherein you monitor the logs regularly. So say for example, we have a log monitoring done over here. Now this is a workflow that we have built on N10 wherein we are seeing the execution logs. Now as you can see over here, every single day that particular workflow gets executed, and I'm seeing that it is getting executed at the same time, that is around 3:30. What I can see over here is that if on a single day, if that is getting executed before that particular time, then I would want to understand as to why did that happen. Is it a technical issue, or was it auto triggered, or was it manually triggered by a user? So I need to understand every aspect of that to ensure that my workflows, my systems stay intact and are secure. Now to conclude, if you are scaling your GTM, then security is not optional anymore. It's not just about the tools, it's about the ownership, access, data, and control. So what you can do is you can start with the 6 pillars that I showed today. You can audit your current stack and fix the gaps before they become a problem for you. And if you found this useful, please drop a comment or reach out. Happy to help you audit your GTM architecture. And please don't forget to subscribe for more insights on scaling GTM the right way.